Okay, good morning to all of you who are online. So today we are going to continue talking about the rest of chapter 1, and then we are going to talk about the quizzes. The quiz number 1 that will cover the content of chapter 1 as well. Okay, so let me share the screen for what we studied on the last class. On the last class, we finished on the slide that you did up to question number 20, example number 20. So today we are going to continue talking about the example number 21 to 23 that you just did as the homework for me. Okay, for example number 21, in this one, okay, in this one, when you have to just solve this problem, when you would like to solve, this problem, the things that we have to do, is that we just try to find out the possible values that can be used as just the the number of just the index in order to match with what we have got in here. For example, in here you can see that you have the number. For example 12. For number 12 here, that we have got, actually inside it can be 3 times 4, right? And for 4 you can just make it to be 2 square, something like this. So in this one I will just try to make all of these values or of this term to be the exponent that can be divisible by the index 2. So in this one I have 3 times 2 square times x square times y to the negative 5 times z cube. And as you know that the the square root is equivalent to this is square root the exponent of 1/2. So I will just try to apply this one into the exponent 1. Then I get 3 to the power of 1/2 times 2 square over 2 times x square over 2 times y to the negative 5/2 and times z cube over 2, like this. And when we have this already, I try to just simplify this again. So you can see that for 2, I can eliminate the exponents and x as well. I can eliminate the exponent. So that means I have 2x in front. And the rest of them, I still have 3 times y to the power of negative 5. For z, I can have z times z to the 1/2 as well. And then I can just square all of them in here. I can take z out. Then I get 2xz, and then I have square root 3y to negative 5z. This is the answer for the first one. Okay, any question for the first, for example 21? If no, let's move on to example 22. นะครับ In this one you can see that the index is 3. The things that I have to do is try to make นะครับ the exponents นะครับ to be the similar number of index so that I can eliminate those terms นะครับ so that I can eliminate those terms. So in this one I have cube root นะครับ of 3 cube นะครับ 27 is 3 times 3 times 3 of x y to the 6 over นะครับ 256 is equivalent to นะครับ to the power of 8 นะครับ 2 to the power of 8 I leave it as 256 like this first นะครับ and then z to the negative 6. Then I just like take 3 out นะครับ y square out. X is still in the cube root. And then for z นะครับ z I can take out to be z to the negative 2. Over 256. Then I get 3y square z square times cube root of x over 256. Somebody may say that, okay, you would like to simplify 256 นะครับ to be 2 to the power of 8. And then you try to just like make it take it out. You may be able to do that as well นะครับ So in this case, if you would like to take 256 to be 2 to the power of something, you get x over นะครับ 2 to the power of 2 times 2 to the power of 6 นะครับ then you can take 2 square out นะครับ and you can have 4 here นะครับ so in this one I can have 4 in here. And then I can finish my answer here as well. So are there any questions for this example? If no, นะครับ let's move on to the last example of this slide นะครับ 6 root of 8x cubed over 125 y to the 6 z to the 9. In this one นะครับ I can just like make it to be just I just like take the change the 6 root to be the index number นะครับ in the exponent. Then I can have 8 to the power of 1 over 6 x cubed over 6 over 125 to the 1 over 6 y to the 6 over 6 and z to the 9 over 6 นะครับ like this. And then I leave 8 to the 1 over 6 here นะครับ And then for the x, I can have x to the 1/2 นะครับ I just like try to solve like this first, and then I have 125 to the power of 1/6 นะครับ y นะครับ and z to the power of 3/2นะครับ So what do we get in this one? If I try to group of any terms which has the same index 1/6 together, I get นะครับ 6 root of 8/125 นะครับ Now I have the term นะครับ that is 1/y นะครับ for this term, and then I have the square root of x over z cube นะครับ or I can rewrite it to be 6 root of 8/125 นะครับ times square root of x นะครับ over z cube, then altogether over y. Okay, so for this one, do we have any problems or any questions about the example number 23? Okay, so if you don't have any questions, let me move on to the next slide. After we learn how to solve, after we learn how to solve the what to say exponents, and also radicals already, the next thing that you have to know is that we talk about factors and absolute values that you should know. What are the factors? The factors, when we talk about factors, we found that if C and D is the member of the positive numbers, positive integers in here, and D divides by C with a zero remainder, with a zero remainder, then we call D as a factor of C. We call D as a factor of C. You can see that in here, if C is 18 and D is 3, okay, let me just like try to show you with this one. If we have C over D, C over D, that is 18/3. You can see that when you divide C by D, you don't have the remainder. The remainder is 0. So this one, it means that D, that means 3 is a factor of 18. 3 is a factor of 18. 3 is a factor of 18 here. While C is 91 and D is 7. My question is that is D a factor of C or not? Is the dog a factor of C or not in the second example here? yes or no student in the class ครับ yes or no ครับ is 7 a factor of 91 yes or no the answer is no is it correct the answer is not correct why is that let's see as we learn already that okay if we have to just like do anything we have to follow the what to say the explanation or the definition of this one if I divide 91 by 7 what is the remainder the remainder is 0 right so that means 7 is divisible 91 is divisible by 7 right when 91 is divisible by 7 we can conclude that 7 is a factor of 90 okay so นะครับ what about the last one ครับ let me ask someoneอัญญาครับ is 101 a factor of 101 or not อัญญา where is อัญญา oh she go to the bathroom then สหพัฒน์ where is สหพัฒน์ครับ is 100 a factor of 100 oh sorry is 101 a factor of 101 why is that yes it can be divisible by 101 right and there's no remainder so that's why 101 divided by 101 get 1 without the remainder 101 is a factor of 101 easy for this right okay now before I move on to the next slide do you have any questions yes why is that sorry 1 is the factor of 101 but in this one you are asked that whether the dot a factor of c or not right so that's why we are focusing on 101 yeah but if you ask me that is 1 a factor of 101 yes if I ask that what about this one is 202 okay if c is 202 and if d is 101 is 101 a factor of 202 yes or no ครับ the answer is yes because 202 is divisible by 101 without remainder right so that's why the answer is yes นะครับ because there is no remainder between this division okay right any other questions ครับ for this slide if there is no questions นะครับ we talk about the last slide of this chapter นะครับ that is about the absolute value for the absolute value we will talk about นะครับ this thing the absolute value of a real number x can be written as x with the small vertical line นะครับ in front and at the back of that number นะครับ it's defined by absolute x equals to x if x is greater than or equals to 0 for example นะครับ if x is 5 นะครับ absolute x is x นะครับ is 5 here because x is greater than 0 but if x is negative for example if x is negative 7 absolute x is minus x this one is x if x is less than 0 or is equal to 7 นะครับ so this is the basic definition of the absolute value so that means when you find absolute of negative x it's equals to absolute x for example นะครับ absolute negative 3 equals to absolute 3 because absolute of negative 3 is 3 absolute 3 is 3 นะครับ that's why they are equal okay is it clear for note number 1 absolute negative x equals to absolute x นะครับ both of them must be the integer for the result นะครับ absolute negative 3 is 3 absolute positive 3 is 3 as well ครับ now let's move on to note number 2 in note number 2 here absolute of negative x is not necessary be equals to x what does it mean in this one assume that x นะครับ is 3 absolute negative 3 นะครับ and 3 you can see that the value inside are different นะครับ so that means the value of negative x in here is not necessarily equals to the value of x that you have got here นะครับ I mean the value inside the next one นะครับ cube root of x square sorry I'm sorry นะครับ let me say again square root of x square square root of x square is not necessary x but x square but square root x square นะครับ equals to absolute x in this one นะครับ what does it mean assume that I have square root of negative 5 square นะครับ in here is not equal to 5 but square root of negative 5 square equals to absolute 5 one thing that are common between square root and absolute is that the result นะครับ when you take square and then you take absolute give you the positive number as well as the absolute value นะครับ absolute value give you the result of positive number as well นะครับ okay we will learn more นะครับ in the next chapter when we talk about the absolute value นะครับ okay นะครับ that should be all for module number 1 นะครับ that should be all for module number 1 Now let's talk about the quiz that we are going to have. We are going to have quiz number 1 that cover chapter 1. Now I have a question. I give you a choice. Which day that you would like to have the quiz? It will be 10 questions, 8 to 10 question quiz that you can just like finish the quiz within half an hour. But I give you 1 hour to complete the quiz, no worries. Okay, I give you 1 hour to complete the quiz. So my question is that when would you like to have it? I have 2 choices. First one, this Thursday. Second one, next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday.
You want next Thursday? Okay. Next term, yeah, you have to take this course again. Now I have 2 choices. We better just like don't just like keep it for too long, otherwise you will forget it. Choice A, Thursday, 27th. Choice B, Tuesday, 'kay, during the class time. Okay, let me just write down on the chat box as well. Which choice would you like to have? For students who are online, please type your request, your need in the chat box. Which day that you would like to have. Now let me count number of you on in the classroom. Who want choice A? Raise your hand, please. None of you. Who want choice B? Choice B. We have either 1 or 2 B. A or B only. No other choice. C is too long. Too late for the first quiz. So who want choice B? Raise your hand, please. Who want choice A? 1, 2. Now let's see the online. We have 1A and 3B. So choice B. We will have quiz on next Tuesday then. So for the quizzes, it will be like this. I will be in the classroom since 10 a.m. to be with you here. If you have any questions, just come to ask me. Okay. And after that, for online student as well, you can ask me on the chat box or in the line group as well during 10 to 10:20. After that on 10:20, students who are in the class, we need to have the online assessment. That means you can just like if you have iPad and pencil, write down the solution and steps to solve the problem for the given file that I give it to you. Or if you don't have iPad, นะครับ my suggestion is that you can just use a piece of paper write down the steps and solution after that take photo and then submit over Canvas. Okay, you know what I mean for this one. So that means at least on the quiz day or on the examination day, you need to bring iPad if you have, or at least you need to bring a smartphone that you can take a photo. Okay, right. Okay,นะครับ for anyone who don't have iPad, don't forget your pencil or pen with a paper as well นะครับ so that you can write down the answer. Okay, right. Okay then, any questions about the quizzes? It's closed book quiz นะครับ you are not allowed to turn on or sorry you are not allowed to search for the answer or communicate with other people นะครับ and then for anyone นะครับ who do not have any excuse for just like being at home นะครับ you have to be in class otherwise นะครับ the testing นะครับ will not be counted for the score นะครับ that is the requirement because we are on campus class นะครับ except anyone who are just like hospitalized or you have to be under quarantine or with the exemption from OAA or student affair with the letter only นะครับ with the official letter only is exempted.
I'm not allowed to come
to the university นะครับ apart from that one what to say anyone any students
I'm not allowed to come to campus
นะครับ you have to turn on your camera นะครับ showing your face and your hands while you are just like working นะครับ anyone who do not turn on the camera นะครับ the score will not also be counted นะครับ that means if you say that you have the iPad you are using iPad my suggestion is that you better use your smartphone to log in into Zoom นะครับ because like while you're writing something on the iPad using one program the Zoom will not allow you to turn on the camera นะครับ you will hear the voice only and you can speak something only but you cannot just like use two applications at the same time with the camera on so I suggest you to use another device like your smartphone to log on to Zoom and then turn on the camera นะครับ okay right okay then student in the classroom do you have any questions no okay that's good นะครับ now if you don't have any questions let me move on to chapter 2 นะครับ so the slide on chapter 2 I prepared 2 versions for you นะครับ it's on our canvas already นะครับ just what belong ครับ one is just like the handout with just with like 2 or 3 slides in one page the other one is like one slide for full page นะครับ depends on whatever you want นะครับ you just download it and use that one ครับ okay now let me just like start sharing นะครับ on my screen in chapter number 2 นะครับ in chapter number 2 we are going to study about the algebraic expression algebraic expression is the expression in algebra that you have to learn นะครับ for this chapter นะครับ we will learn about algebraic expression as well as the linear equation what does it mean by linear equation linear equation นะครับ is the equation about นะครับ the variables that whenever you plot the graph it will give the line graph for you นะครับ the straight line graph for you or on the other way around if we are talking about the variable that we use in that equation it is the equation with the variable with exponent 1 only นะครับ for example if you have x or y or z it will be just x นะครับ not x square not x cube or if it has y it's just y only not y square not y cube นะครับ it's to the power of 1 or the exponent นะครับ power is 1 only นะครับ then when we plot the graph we get linear equations now นะครับ the outline for this chapter นะครับ firstly we will talk about the polynomials and its factorization นะครับ you will learn นะครับ how do we gonna just like justify the polynomials terms in the expression นะครับ and then we just like try to do the factorization of those terms after that when you understand the factorization and those polynomials already we will form them in terms of equations then we will learn about how to solve the equation this one นะครับ we will just like have two different kind of equations that we have got นะครับ for solutions that are linear and quadratic and finally we talk about applications on linear equation in real life นะครับ how do you gonna apply the equations with the linear equations นะครับ into the real life so I'm going to talk about the first one นะครับ we talk about the algebraic expression นะครับ when we talk about the algebraic expression in here นะครับ the algebraic expression can contain some or all of the following elements นะครับ the first one numbers นะครับ numbers 1 2 3 4 5 like this we call it as coefficient นะครับ coefficient next one letters or alphabet in terms of expression นะครับ in terms of algebraic expression we call those alphabet like x y z a m n o like that as variables นะครับ next signs of operation like plus minus multiplication division นะครับ and the last one grouping symbol like bracket square bracket นะครับ parenthesis like this นะครับ okay so these are four things นะครับ or four elements that might be existed in an algebraic expression นะครับ for example นะครับ you can see that in this slide I show you four expression examples 5x z plus 3 c over 10 7b to the 5 minus b plus 8 นะครับ these are all called as algebraic expression นะครับ okay now let's fill up this table นะครับ okay now let's talk about the first expression 5x นะครับ 5x Warisa ครับ what is the number in 5x Warisa are you here yeah what is the number element of 5x ครับ 5 that's right and what is the variable of 5x x what is the operation times or multiplication that's correct นะครับ next z plus 3 ครับ Sharif operation is plus c over 10 ครับ นิธิ number is 10 variable c operation division. Somebody may answer differently. In this one, they say that, okay, number is 1/10. Variable is C. Operation is multiplication. Right? Is it possible? In here, right? Okay. Now, next one, 7b to the 5 minus b plus 8 ครับ Tarasin. And addition, right? That's correct. Is Pantapon here? Pantapon, not here. Is Pantapon online?
Yes. Hello. Hello ครับ
Oh, he is online. Okay. Okay then นะครับ Okay. Now นะครับ you understand already how to separate each element in the algebraic expression นะครับ when there are like the forming of just like variables, numbers and operations like this นะครับ we call this one as algebraic operation. But you can see that for these examples, one missing thing is that we don't have grouping symbols นะครับ you can just like put the parentheses if you would like to have it as well นะครับ in here. Okay, for example, somebody may say that I have 5 times x like this. It's possible to have. Okay. Now, when we talking about the expression, the example of the expression already. Now we talk about the next terminology, or next word, that is term. That is term. A term is either a single number or a product of a number and one or more variable raised to power. So this is the example of the algebraic expression with one term. For example, we have 1. We have 5x. We have 3y squared. We have 1/x. These are what we call one term. Each one we call it as one term. So, when you have the expression with more than one terms, it is possible to the terms are separated by plus or minus sign. For example, 5x plus 3. 7y squared plus 5y. 3y squared minus 5x plus z. These are examples of expression with more than one terms. We have to just like use plus or minus symbol only, because otherwise, if you just say that you have 5x squared times x like this, it is one term, because finally you get 5x cubed. It is one term, not multiple terms. So that's why if you have algebraic expression with more than one term, normally they are separated by plus or minus sign. So the next one, we have like terms, or similar terms. Like terms or similar terms. These terms are the terms that differ only by their numerical coefficients. Numerical coefficients, or easy word, number in front of the variable. For example, 3y squared, 6y squared 2y squared. These are like terms or similar terms. When you have like the problems นะครับ or the question talking about similar term or like terms, you have to know that we mean this thing นะครับ we mean the same variable with the same exponent, but the difference is just like the number in front นะครับ or the coefficient only. Okay, so any questions about this slide for the definition of terms? If you don't have any questions, let's move on to the next slide. On the next slide, we have the definition of the algebraic expression with its specific properties. When we have the expressions with exactly one term, we always call them as monomials, monomials when we have just one term. For example, 2x 5y squared. Those are like one terms. Next, if we have two terms, exactly two terms, we call them as binomials. Binomials. For example, this one 3x minus 5. This is a binomial. We have two terms. When we have exactly three terms, when we have exactly three terms, we call it as trinomials. For example, 3 square root y plus pi y minus 4y squared. 1, 2, 3. This one we call them as trinomials. This one is binomials. You can have like more than 3 terms as well. Okay. When you have any terms more than one term, we call them as multinomials. So binomials, trinomials are also called as trinomials as well. Right. So when you have just like the ideas for the monomial, binomial, trinomial, and multinomial already. Now we have another term, another word for the algebraic expression. This one is like different from monomial, binomial, trinomial, and multinomial because it has like its specific definition. So this kind of the terms or algebraic expression is called polynomial. Polynomial in x. In this example, we say that we're talking about a polynomial in x. A polynomial in x is an algebraic expression. Is the algebraic expression that can be written in the form of cn x to the power of n plus cn minus 1 x to the power of n minus 1 plus plus c1x plus c0, where n is non-negative integer. That means n is called as the degree of the polynomial. And the coefficients c0, c1, c2 to cn are constant with cn is not equal to 0. For example, you can see that in example number 1, you can write it as 4x cubed plus 2x squared plus 5x plus 1. In here, we can call it as polynomial because you can write them in the form of this one. The next one, the next one is y to the 5 minus 1 นะครับ y to the 5 minus 1 นะครับ you can see that in here when we talk about y to the power of 5 minus 1 n is a non-negative integer in here. Yeah, this one is non-negative integer. And the coefficients are constant with Cn. Is not equal to 0. Cn is not equal to 0. You can see that Cn in here is 1. Is 1 times y to the 5. So this one is Cn. Or C5 is not equal to 0, is 1. So that's why this is also the polynomial as well. While the last example, 0. Is 0 a polynomial in X? Is 0 a polynomial in X? You can see that in here. If we say that 0, it is 0x to the 5 like this. You can see that Cn is 0. But in the definition, it said that Cn must not be equal to 0, right? So in this case, Cn equals to 0. 0 times anything, it becomes 0. So 0 itself is not the polynomial in X, because if we say that 0 is a polynomial, it will cause a problem in that we cannot find the degree of polynomial, because you don't know 0 is multiplied by what value. Is it multiplied by x or x squared or x cubed? So you cannot identify the degree of polynomial. That's why 0 is not polynomial in this one. Okay. So the word polynomial and multinomial shouldn't be used interchangeably, because polynomial in here, you can see that we need to be able to identify the degree of polynomial, because you can organize them in order like this. While the multinomial here, it's just like a couple of terms only that you can just like put them together in the expression. So try not to just like use them interchangeably, because I mean, like whenever we identify the polynomial, normally we use degree of the polynomial for doing some other things next on. Okay. So when you have these ideas of the polynomial in X already, okay, next thing that we have to learn about the properties of the polynomials will be on the next slide. Before I talk about the next slide, do you have any questions for this slide? If you don't have any questions, let's move on to the next slide. On the next slide, we talk about the distributive property of multiplication over addition. Just one below. So, for example, if we have 5 times 3x squared plus 2x plus 1 in here, do you remember the distributive property of multiplication? You have to distribute 5, sorry. To each term, to be multiplied to each term. Then you get 5 times 3x squared, you get 15x squared plus 10x plus 5 นะครับ as a distributive property. The next one นะครับ distributive property of multiplication over subtraction. You have 7 นะครับ times the group of 2y cubed minus y squared minus 2y minus 3. Then you use นะครับ distributive property นะครับ to distribute over the subtraction of the terms นะครับ or of the polynomials. Then you get 14y cubed minus 7y squared minus 14y and minus 21. This is the distributive property of multiplication over subtraction. And to add or subtract the polynomial นะครับ normally the way that we do is that we combine the like term first นะครับ in order to add and to subtract. That will make just like the addition or subtraction to be done correctly นะครับ for example if we have the term like 5x times 2x plus 3 plus 2 times 4x cubed plus 2x plus 3 times x plus 5 in here. Firstly, we apply distributive property first. We get 10x squared นะครับ plus 15x plus 8x cubed plus 8x plus 3x plus 15. After that, you combine the like term together first. You get 10x squared นะครับ sorry, let me rearrange this term. I start with the x cubed first. I have 8x cubed plus 10x squared นะครับ plus 15x plus 8x plus 3x plus 15. And then when we find like terms that are 15x, 8x, and 3x, this one we just combine them together. Then we get 8x cubed plus 10x squared plus 21x plus 15. Right. Okay, นะครับ this is the way that we just like combine the like term together. For the next slide นะครับ we have 4 examples altogether. I would like you นะครับ to do it by yourself นะครับ นะครับ I give you 4 minutes to do that นะครับ I give you 4 minutes to do that and then I'll randomly just like ask some of you to help answering these questions for me. Okay, everyone, let's continue นะครับ for what your classmate did นะครับ let's see นะครับ how it's going for the first one นะครับ 5x plus 7x this one we use the concept of like term you add นะครับ the what to say you add the coefficient together 5 plus 7 you get 12 then you get 12x this is correct นะครับ for the next one นะครับ 18a subtracted by 48a in this one Bantapon didn't do it for us นะครับ so you subtract 18 by 48 นะครับ then you get
อาจารย์ครับผม
this
เขียน
one
ไป
you
ใน
get
ซูมแล้วครับ
negative 30a นะครับ as the answer the next one นะครับ 5 times x square plus y square plus x times y minus 3x minus 2y times 6x plus 8y this one we just like distribute นะครับ the multiplication to the terms inside first นะครับ then in this one we get 5x square plus 5y square plus xy plus minus 3xy minus 12xy minus 16y square นะครับ so in this one okay in this one you get finally you get hang on 5 minus 3 that is 2x square okay and then minus 11xy okay and minus 11y square yeah this one is correct นะครับ and the last one นะครับ we have 4x cubed minus x square plus 1 นะครับ plus 8x square plus 12x in this one you can see that they are all additions and subtraction then you can just like take out the parentheses and then have the direct addition or subtraction of each like terms นะครับ so in this one นะครับ for x cubed we have just one term that is 4x cubed นะครับ and then for x square we have 8x square minus x square then we get plus 7x square นะครับ then for x we have plus 12x and then for the coefficient one we have just one yeah so this one is correct นะครับ right okay then นะครับ when we get the answer for this one already let's see more นะครับ Pantapon said that it's negative 38a it's negative 38 นะครับ okay that's correct one okay so right now นะครับ let's continue on the next slide นะครับ on the next slide you can see that for the polynomial multiplication นะครับ in order to multiply the polynomial we use นะครับ distributive law นะครับ as we did before นะครับ so that means when we have x times y plus z นะครับ you distribute x to multiply in each term นะครับ in the parentheses so you get xy plus xz นะครับ this is the multiplication for the polynomial for example ครับ we have two example in here นะครับ example 1 and 2 I give you 2 minutes to do นะครับ I give you 2 minutes to do and then นะครับ I would like someone to help solving this problem for us นะครับ the first one is Warisa the other one is Thanaporn ครับ screen นะครับ so for Warisa's one we multiply 5y squared to each term นะครับ then we get 15y squared yep subtracted by 10y to the fourth. Okay. Plus 3 times 5 is 15. Y to the power of 5 plus 2 is 7. Yeah, that's correct one. So Thanaporn, what is the answer? What's going on? You cannot log into the Zoom. I saw your name before, so that's why I asked you to write the answer. So tell me, what is the answer?
36x to the power of 5 minus 12x to the power of 3 and minus 100x.
Okay, is that all? Okay, so this one, you multiply 12x to each term. So 12 times 3 is 36. X times x to the 4 is x to the 5. That's correct. Next one, 12x times x squared is 12x to the 3. Yeah. Okay, and the last one, plus 10 times 12x is 120x. That's correct. Okay. So this is just like, how do we gonna distribute the terms in front of the parentheses to each term inside? Okay, now let's move on to the next slide. Before I move on to the next slide, do you have any questions about this example? All right, so if you don't have any questions, let's move on to the next slide. That is about like the way in order to multiply different terms together. In this one, we call the Fourier methods. If you have to multiply the polynomials together, assume that we have a plus b for terms a plus b in the same parenthesis, multiply by c plus d in another group. The Fourier method that I mentioned stand for first, outer, inner, and last. And we just take out the abbreviation of the first character of each word. F for first, O for outer, I for inner, and L for last. So that means for first means that you multiply first term, You multiply first term from each group together, A and C. Then you get AC. Plus, outer means that the one that is outermost one, that is A and D. Then you get AD. The next one, I is inner. Any terms that is inside, that is B and C. Inside you get BC. And the last term is last. You multiply last with last, B and D. Okay, so you get AC plus AD plus BC and plus BD by using Fourier method. Actually, you may study for other ways, other method before. But the reason why I just introduced the Fourier method for you is that you can just like do everything systematically, and in the future, if you have to multiply like this, you have the system in order to multiply. Otherwise, sometimes when you multiply, haphazardly or just randomly, sometimes you just like multiply some terms repeatedly. So that's why if you use Fourier method, it will be easy for us. For example, x plus 2 times 2x plus 3 tetsu. What do we get? What do we get? Can you say again? 12x. 2x. Plus x minus 6. Right? This is what you get, right? Okay. 2x plus x minus 6. So if you get this one,
2x squared.
So what do we get in here if we use Fourier method นะครับ firstนะครับ you get 2x squared or outer minus 3x okay outer is here I inner plus 4x นะครับ plus last minus 6 so in here you get 2x squared plus x minus 6 นะครับ by using Fourier method okay so the next one นะครับ before I move on to the next slide do you have any question about the Fourier method that we use okay so if you don't have any questions นะครับ let's move on to the next slide on the next slide นะครับ we talk about operations with algebraic expression นะครับ the first one is the distributive property นะครับ that we learned before distributive property is that you just like try to distribute นะครับ the term in front of the parenthesis to be inside นะครับ like x times y plus z you get xy plus xz นะครับ for the next one นะครับ when we get x plus x plus a times x plus b นะครับ so in this one we use the Fourier method นะครับ first นะครับ x square นะครับ o bx I ax and l ab นะครับ this one we get this one or somebody may just remember that we get x square plus a plus b x นะครับ plus ab นะครับ it's the same thing and when we have ax plus c times bx plus d นะครับ the way that we do is the same thing we use Fourier method as well นะครับ for f นะครับ first we get ax times bx we get abx squared นะครับ now we have o that is outer a times d x นะครับ and I that is b times cx so we get ad plus cb นะครับ all together multiplied by x and lastly we have l that is last time last that is cd นะครับ this is distributive property that we get okay right the next property that we have to know นะครับ is the square of a sum square of a sum นะครับ that means you sum first and then you have square of it this one is what we call square of a sum นะครับ so square of a sum actually if you just like calculate it by using the ideas that we learned before นะครับ by having sorry the Fourier method นะครับ if you use the Fourier method you still get like the answer anyway นะครับ but this one okay from the Fourier method there will be the final answer that you can just like remember the square of the sum result to be x plus a times x plus a นะครับ in here you get นะครับ f that is x squared o that is ax นะครับ I that is ax l that is a square then you get x square plus 2ax plus a square นะครับ so this is just like the things that you can remember square of a sum นะครับ that is x square plus 2ax plus a square นะครับ okay next square of a difference that means you have like subtraction between two terms first and then you square them นะครับ or x minus a square or if you break it out you get x minus a times x minus a in this one นะครับ if we apply Fourier method you get x squared นะครับ that is f or that is minus ax I นะครับ that is minus ax and L นะครับ that is minus a times minus a you get plus a square then นะครับ square of a difference you get x square minus 2ax plus a square นะครับ next นะครับ is the product of sum and difference นะครับ product of sum and difference that means you have two groups นะครับ that are multiplying นะครับ the first group is sum the second group is difference so we call it as product of sum and difference นะครับ in here I apply Fourier method again then we have f นะครับ x square o minus ax minus ax I plus ax L minus a square so for product of sum and difference we get x square minus a square นะครับ so any questions about this right so because this is just a square นะครับ it is still easy now it will be cube นะครับ it will be a cube after this any questions about this slide ครับ anyone if no let me move on to the next slide นะครับ on the next slide it will be the cube of a sum นะครับ that means you have two terms that are adding together and then you have cube of it นะครับ so in order to solve this one นะครับ in order to solve this one I just like have this one it is equivalent to นะครับ it is equivalent to x plus sorry x plus a square times x plus a นะครับ from sum of the square we get x square plus 2ax plus a square and then we multiply by x plus a here นะครับ okay. so in this one นะครับ I start with multiplying the first term นะครับ x square to x and then x square to a I get นะครับ x cube plus ax then I multiply 2ax นะครับ I distribute 2ax with x plus a then I get 2ax square plus 2a square x now I multiply a square with x plus a then I get a square x plus a cube then I get x cube plus 2ax square plus 2a square x and then this one plus a square x so I get 3a square x plus a cube plus ax first plus a cube. Now นะครับ cube of a difference so if you cannot remember the value นะครับ like we just like finally do it you can just like multiply it by yourself like this นะครับ so that you can get the same answer but somebody just like remember the instant value for this so that they can just like use it for other purposes นะครับ for cube of a difference you can just like write it down as the x minus a square times x minus a as well นะครับ for the square of the difference we get นะครับ x square minus 2ax plus a square right and then we multiply it by x minus a and then we just distribute them นะครับ I multiply x square นะครับ to the x minus a first then I get x cube minus ax square then I just like multiply negative 2ax with x minus a and lastly I multiply a square with x minus a so then I just combine them the like terms together I get x cubed minus ax squared plus 3a ax squared minus x cubed minus ax squared minus 2ax squared so I get this one plus a square x plus 2a square minus a cube so this is the cube of the difference okay so when we have this already when we have this already I have the homework for you the homework that I would like you to do is on example number 1 to example number 8 on the next slide okay here you see example number 1 to example number 8 please do it and submit on Canvas I'll just like prepare these assignment on Canvas so that you can just like do it for me. Please submit it me before the next class. Please submit it to me before the next class. Alright, that means before Friday, before Thursday 10 a.m. please. Before 10 a.m. Thursday, please. Okay. Right. So for these operations with algebraic expression, and the property that we know that we learn up to this point, do you have any questions, anyone? Yes. The quiz is for chapter 1 only. Chapter 1 that we finished this morning. Okay.